Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a new special guest on the main event. I'm here as a legend of the bluegrass who loves kicking ass to introduce to you the 16-time World Heavyweight Champion, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Woo! It's a great evening to have such a wonderful guest as me on this show. And just to give you a little backdrop of who I am that limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun. Woo! And ladies, all you beautiful ladies out there in the crowd tonight, if you're between the ages of 18 and 25, you just come on down to the dungeon, baby. And you can ride Space Mountain all night long.
Now tell him here, Nature Boy, what show are you on tonight?
Well, the Nature Boy is on no other show than
the main event. Woo!
Under attack, always coming in last, bringing up the past. No one owes you anything, I think. You need a shotgun blast, a kick in the ass, so paranoid. Watch your back!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the main event. I'm the legend of the bluegrass who loves kicking ass. Here's my tag team partner,
the whiskey-drinking, hell-raising Hoosier Heavyweight, and we are on episode 5 of the main event, where tonight we're going to
cover the Elimination Chamber, baby. An exciting Elimination Chamber is that. Probably one of the better pay-per-views that we have seen so far.
I would absolutely agree with you there. The main event definitely delivered tonight. Some of the other matches were okay. The wrestling was good, but that main event, I was highly impressed, especially the fact that John Cena lost the belt within a week.
It has brought some faith back into me with wrestling, what the WWE is trying to do. A couple other things we got going on tonight we're probably going to talk about next a little bit. And we also have a different beer for you to try this time. We've been doing IPAs a lot lately, but today we're going to do a stout, but not just any stout, a breakfast stout from none other than Founders Brewing Company. So,
where's Founders out of?
Founders is out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is one of the beers that I've had before and Zach hasn't. Founders Breakfast Stouts, if you remember from episode 3, I think when we had Matt on the show, kind of did a little word association with him. I said stout, and the first thing the guy said was Founders Breakfast Stout. One of my favorite stouts that I've ever had. I'm pretty big on them, and for my opinion, I'll go ahead and tell you, it's like drinking breakfast to me. It is an excellent stout. I would have it in the morning with a breakfast burrito at Lamasco's, of all places. So, Zach, you've taken a little sip of it. Tell me what you think.
Okay, so to give the fans a heads up, it is a double chocolate coffee oatmeal stout. So this doesn't taste like a traditional beer would by any stretch of the imagination. When you pop the top on it and you take a good sniff of it, you get the nose of the beer. You definitely smell the chocolate and you definitely smell the coffee. And then as you actually take your first swig or two and you kind of let it set, especially with stouts, guys, you really got to give it a second. You get that flavor on your palate, if you will, and that the best way to put it is like the chocolate is like mid-tongue and the coffee's all the way to the back. And it's good. I like it. I like stouts. I haven't drank a stout in God knows how long, to be honest. So I'm enjoying it. It's good.
What I like, too, is that it is like having coffee, because at the end there is that coffee bean aftertaste, and it's a good taste. Like it's not overwhelming.
It would be almost like having an iced mocha without the ice and the mocha, and it being a beer. So nothing like an iced mocha.
But it's that aftertaste, it's just coffee aftertaste, but not like, because some people don't like coffee and they don't like the aftertaste, and they are wrong. They're wrong for a lot of different reasons. But it just has, what always did it for me was the taste is excellent, a nice double chocolate. You really get that when you first drink it in. And drink it in, man.
Drink
Shout
it in.
out to Chris Jericho.
I actually ordered that shirt tonight.
Oh, good for you. I also, since we're talking about shirts, before we get off to a big tangent about this beer, I actually ordered the Certified G from Enzo and Cass that says, what do we got over here?
A couple haters.
Pretty sweet t-shirt. If you guys go to WWE Network's website, you can order that shirt along with the Drink It In Chris Jericho.
I ordered a couple of shirts. I ordered that one because I figured it'd be a good pairing for the podcast.
You need to, because once we get to where we can go live and you guys can see our beautiful masculine bodies in all of their glory with our title belts on, you guys will really enjoy it, and we'll be able to pimp a couple more products for you guys.
Yeah. That being said, we don't get any royalties or anything from any business so far that we're talking about. Like WWE, which would be awesome, or Lamasco's, which we're working at. Shout out to anyone who's listening to this. Evan had a bump in with one of the owners,
Sure
and
did.
we're going to work that part because we really like that place. The breakfast there is awesome. It's a third shift. It opens up at 7 a.m., which those of you who aren't local to Indiana, that's when you can start serving alcohol. And they have a pretty awesome breakfast in the sense of it's not your regular breakfast fare. So every once in a blue moon, or right now because my pregnant wife really enjoys the thought of having a big breakfast burrito, we'll get off on Friday and all three of us go down there. Me and Evan order a pitcher or two of a really good IPA usually.
It's been gumball the past couple times.
Yeah, from Three Floyds. And then friggin' snag up a burrito or a breakfast pizza because they all do it in-house homemade, and it's pretty damn delicious.
It is. I like it so much. I went there after work Friday, and I went again the day after. With, of course, you guys have heard about my Philippine exploits that will be coming in July. I went with one of the guys I'll be going to travel with, and I love their breakfast. Next time we go, I'm going to try something different. They have biscuits and gravy there, and I was talking to one of the bartenders there. Actually, the same girl that served us does a little bit of bartending. And while she has issues naming beers, she is very good with food and recommended biscuits and gravy to me. I got to try a little taste of it, and I really enjoyed it. So I might have to try that next time. But we'll see.
So I'm going to backtrack here. I'm going to backtrack to last week.
Go for it.
Anyone who was listening realized I was literally dying on air. I was falling asleep. Couldn't make it because, needless to say, that me and Evan work a shit ton of hours.
How many hours did we work this week? 58, 60?
No. I averaged a little over 2 hours of overtime a day. So, yeah, I probably had around 65 hours at work.
I know.
And that's no whining and crying. I'm saying that's just what it is. And on the weekends, my schedule goes even crazier because I try to fit in as much time as I can with my wife and kids. So I wanted to tell all the friends and family out there, I wanted to apologize to absolutely fucking nobody to pull a page from Conor McGregor. God damn it, I'm a working man. I was tired. Bite me. That being said,
he's trying to say he's sorry for sucking.
Yes, initially. But
even though it didn't really suck, people get tired.
It is a little off. But getting back, let's get into, because we got a few things different that we're going to try in the podcast tonight that we're going to talk about. Me and Evan are kind of, again, continuing to switch it up, finding our forum, if you will, our formula for success, which will still always base around beer and wrestling. But we're going to try some other things too. We start off with the Elimination Chamber.
Yes.
The pre-show was what it was. I'm not a huge fan of the pre-shows. It's like watching the pre-Super Bowl show. I know who the fuck's in the Super Bowl. I know that you had Atlanta in New England. I don't need to know any more about it. That's the way I feel like the pre-show was almost in the sense of, okay, I haven't seen the product in a month. I better get a quick recap and then I'll watch the pay-per-view.
So
it's a waste of time for me.
Here's what I don't like about pre-shows that SmackDown and Raw do. For example, I'm going to use the one for Royal Rumble, which Zach and I have talked about off mic. We kind of like the Rumble a little bit more now that we've gone back and watched it a couple times. we have a better understanding of what they're trying to do. But I mean, first impressions are a big deal. You know, you should have to go back and watch it a couple times, and be like, oh, okay, I get it now. It's like watching The Butterfly Effect and trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. You have to watch it 10 times, and you may or may not still get what the fuck's going on. But I digress. So, what they sometimes do in these pre-shows is you had like the I don't know what they called it. It was a tag team match with Cesaro, Sheamus, Bayley, Charlotte, and I forget who her two male partners were. But
it was the club.
Oh, okay. It was the club. So they had that match, and it was like a prequel to both of their matches that both teams were going to have later. And in that match, you had Bayley pin Charlotte, and then you go to the title match, and it's like, well, Bayley's already beat her once tonight. Like, you would almost expect that to happen again. Of course, you know, with her being Ric Flair's daughter and the clout that she already has for the hard work she does do.
She ain't losing at no pay-per-view.
She's not losing at a pay-per-view. She might lose Monday, I hope, because Bayley has my heart. But
no, she has your pecker.
It's in the same place. So,
but that being said, like, not a huge pre-show fan.
They don't do it right.
Well, no, and the flow isn't there. Like, there's 4 different color commentators. You had Carmella on this one with Booker T, Renee Young, who I will say this. No offense to my loving wife who listens to this podcast, but dear God, she looked gorgeous. And I've never looked at Renee Young. Of all the times I've seen her on air and thought, oh yeah, she's hot. I mean, she's an attractive woman. But the outfit she was wearing tonight, like, hello. I mean, to best describe it to you, because she's got, what I would say, neck length, short blonde hair.
I would consider it to be medium.
Yeah, medium length hair. Good looking, white girl. But she was wearing this, like, single shouldered.
Why is it going to be white?
I got to describe to the fans. But she was wearing, like, a leather top. And it was like a single shoulder. And it was just the cut on it. It was scrumptious.
My thing was Becky Lynch. You know, her in-ring attire didn't really match the whole steampunk deal, but
she looked like she went and shopped at Sears before she got in the ring.
She is doing something with her leg weights, because her legs look, not that they looked bad before, but they looked more.
Well, I will say this: all the girls look good out there that are wrestling for the most part.
Sure.
Most of them put on, which that's part of it too. In one aspect, you got to have a look that's going to sell, and especially that's kind of the knock against the women, or not knock against them, but that's the difficult part with being a female wrestler, is the wrestling promotions want attractive women because that helps sell. Me and you could be the ugliest guys and form a tag team. If we can wrestle well and beat the hell out of people, we're in there. We're just heels.
Which just means that we should go and do that yesterday.
But, you had freaking Mickie James, who, her outfit looked good. You had Alexa Bliss. Her outfit was wonderful. She had almost some kind of like... To me, because I'm a comic book nerd, if I haven't ever clarified that, to me, it almost looked like Captain Marvel, the female one. So if you look it up real quick for Marvel Comics, like it had the blue and red and the gold trimmed outline, something very similar to that. It was sleek, it was good looking. And to jump into that match, since I just mentioned her, she dropped the belt to Naomi, which I thought was somewhat weak because the feud hadn't been there that long, and you had a bigger feud with Becky Lynch and a more meaningful one, even though we'd seen it multiple times. Mm-hmm. I just thought dropping it before WrestleMania didn't make any sense to me. With that being said, now where do we go from here 48 days out from Mania?
I assume that they'll continue the feud, or if there's another person that they want to try to put into the spotlight. That's kind of the thing, and it's honestly, it's sort of a nice thing that SmackDown has, is they don't have Charlotte. Therefore, the titles can change. If someone is putting in the work and doing a good job and they feel that they need to take the next step, that can happen. And I like title changes because it's especially on SmackDown, because I don't feel like, other than Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch, that they have as good of a roster.
Yeah, as far as the females go, I absolutely agree. The female roster is a little weaker on SmackDown than it is Raw, as the same way as SmackDown's tag team division is far stronger than what Raw's is. Mm-hmm. Like Raw, I feel like you have 3 teams. SmackDown, you have 5, maybe 6. So, yeah, definitely there. And that's the draft staffing type deal. And that's kind of my issue, is like,
Something to kind of look at, too. You could look at your girl that helped you through your teenage years.
Yes.
You could have her go for maybe they could build her up, because she was a superstar back in the day. Mm-hmm. They could build her up to.
Now Evan's talking about Mickie James.
Yeah, Mickie James.
For those who don't know or may not be a huge wrestling fan, she held the title back when she was in the WWE 7 years ago. She left the WWE kind of under weird circumstances, where she had an out with the company.
John Cena.
Yeah, Cena. But she actually went and she worked a lot of independents, mm-hmm. and then she was in TNA for quite a while and held their women's championship several times. And then made a surprise appearance about 2 months ago on Next, which I was happy with, because as we talked about before, Asuka really doesn't have a solid female to go up against in Next. Like, all the women that are there, minus her, not that they're bad, but they're still learning. It's not like having any of the women that are currently on the WWE roster there at Next. So for me, it was like having Mickie down there would have put keeping her there would have put 2 wily veterans who've been in the game and helped teach these ladies, and still bring better matches out of the women's division down there. Now it's a little lackluster and diluted, but regardless, they decided to bring it up, and we go from there. Mickey's on SmackDown, and SmackDown's kind of like, it's her and Alexa Bliss as the heels, and all the other girls are baby faces.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Nikki Bella too. She's, especially from coming back from injury a few months ago, she's gonna, once they build her back up, I think she'll end up being a contender again. But I don't know, just the women's division on SmackDown just isn't that strong. There's some weird stuff going on. Definitely props to Naomi. It's hard to say. I'm sorry.
Do you feel the glow, Evan?
I don't feel the glow. I'm not very sold on her. But with that being said, I mean, the WWE felt as though she was ready. And, just like we talked about, the division isn't that strong, so the title can change a lot.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. Eventually they'll get a solid foundation. I really think that Asuka will end up going to SmackDown. I hope so. And that could be a big game changer for them. She could be like the Kevin Owens of the women's division, except on SmackDown.
Sure. Now, speaking of other titles that we had defended, we had the SmackDown World Tag Team Championships that were defended in what would have been an elimination.
It was called a Turmoil Tag Match.
Turmoil Tag Match. So what it come down to is 2 teams come out and wrestled. The first one to win, the losing team was eliminated, and the next guys come out, so on and so forth. Your current champions at that time was American Alpha.
Who you've hardly seen.
Yeah. Chad Gables, and what's the other guy?
I don't know the other guy's name. I don't keep up with American Alpha because I haven't fucking seen them.
Yeah. Since they left freaking Next, you've seen them on air like twice. So, needless to say, you started off with Rhino and, the Beauty and the Man Beast, as they like to call him, with Rhino and Heath Slater, and they were taking on, what is it? It's not Fandango. What'd they call theirs?
It was Fandango, a fucking ticket website.
Those guys.
It was Breeze Dango or
Fan
some.
Breezo or what? It's a horrible comic gimmick.
Is basically they ruined Tyler Breeze's career by putting him in a slightly homosexual tag team. So yeah, there's that. Their gimmick is just fucking awful.
Yeah, they're the fashion popo, if you will. It is what it is. It's a comedic act.
It's comedic, and like I do get a little bit of a chuckle out of whenever they write the tickets, saying that their outfit looks bad when you're gyrating your hips over your fallen opponent, and it's kind of funny. But I mean, fuck, like Tyler Breeze, like he was the next champion for a while, and
it was taking on Finn Balor and just the who's who, Neville and other guys, and now he's low to mid card. But I was happy to see in that whole ordeal that they brought the Ascension on, and the Ascension looked good. I feel like these guys have finally earned a push again, or at least to be able to be on or in contention for the belts. Because when they first brought them up from Next, which they still are, the longest reigning Next tag champions, they just squashed them. They did this whole Legends angle before WrestleMania, and it just took away any freaking power, any motivation, or at least, momentum they had. So they kind of changed they didn't even really change the gimmick. They changed up the face paint. They made them a little bit more rougher around the edges. And I think they eliminated 2 out of the 4 teams.
Well,
2 out of 3 teams.
You had Beauty and the Man Beast, and they took on Fashion Police, beat them.
Yep.
Then they took on the Usos and beat them. But the Usos, in the middle of the match, after they got eliminated, took out Heath Slater and Rhino. So they were injured, and then came in, and they defeated
the Vaudevillains and
Heath Slater.
Yeah. So they eliminated 2 other teams.
Yeah.
And then they obviously got beat by American Alpha.
Which they were beat in an awesome fashion, I thought. Even though I kind of wanted the Ascension to win. Because I'm into more of the darker characters myself, but it was cool how they won. Like American Alpha, had been beaten up. They got beat up real bad, and you have Gable gets tagged in. And he picks up, what's the smaller guy's name on the Ascension?
It's Victor and son of a bitch. I can't think of it. Doesn't matter.
But the smaller guy for the Ascension, they do basically where they kind of do like a suplex kind of deal, and then the other guy jumps up in the air and grabs him and finishes it. And Gable tossed him up, and his partner grabbed him, put him down for the pin, and pinned him, and it was over. And it was done in an exciting fashion, which is something you always like in your matches, is like for there to be a really stellar finisher rather than finishers getting abused and used 6-7 times in a match before you knock a guy out. So it was cool to see that happen for a nice tag team finish like that. That match in particular, I would say, was number 2 in my book as far as all the matches went.
I would agree with that, and we're going to go ahead and just jump, because there was a lot of in-between matches that they furthered along the pay-per-view, but for our viewing pleasure, they were just filler. So we're going to go ahead and talk straight up about the Elimination Chamber in the main event.
Yes.
Which you had Baron Corbin, The Miz, AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, and the current champion, John Cena. We started off
Hustle,
with...
loyalty, respect.
Yeah. We started off with, for those who don't know, the Elimination Chamber is this gigantic steel enclosed cage.
It's not as big as a Hell in a Cell, like as far as the cage height is.
Yeah.
But it has 4 pods in each corner, like where turnbuckles would be in the ring. Something that's interesting as well is that the ring is actually... like there's no, you can't, like you're locked in this giant cage, and if you go outside the ropes, there's a platform level with the ring, so it's not like when you step out of the ring you're stepping down where you can get to the apron and grab a weapon or something like that. It's more kind of an even playing field, And for the first time Zach and I had seen, and this may have happened before, but at least that we noticed, was that the metal that is outside of the ring, not on the walls but on the floor that is level with the mat, was actually padded this time. So,
and I think that was due to a lot of the maneuvers that was done. It was a safety precaution, which I'm absolutely fine with.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to see is another superstar get hurt. It hurts the product, like what you had with Seth Rollins on Raw. Love them or hate them, these guys bust their butts and put their freaking bodies on the line. I want to keep them around. So we start off the Elimination Chamber match, and it is AJ Styles versus John Cena, and they're giving it a go. And I mean, what better way to start off a match than with what I feel already is a legend in John Cena, love him or hate him, and a certified Hall of Famer in his own right in AJ Styles. Guys who are still, for the most part, in peak condition of their careers, going at it. So they're banging around, doing what they do, and going through a lot of the stuff that they have. I love that Styles has brought back the Lex Luger torture rack and has put Cena in it in the last 2 pay-per-views, which AJ's a normal-sized guy. He might be 6 foot if he's lucky. I'm doubting it. He's probably 5'10", 5'11", and is just barely 220. Where John Cena's 6'3" or better.
250 pounds.
Yeah, 250, 260 pounds of solid steroidal muscle.
Oh, we're not supposed to say that on here. Sorry, Vince. Oh, excuse us.
But, to see him pick him up and stretch him out, it's reminiscent of old school, the era where that maneuver was done every Monday night on Nitro,
It's a little weird seeing him do that, though. Hopefully you guys watch wrestling, because then you can kind of understand that AJ Styles isn't a big dude. It's kind of the same, the appeal that he has to a lot of people that watch him is that he's built and he's jacked, yeah, but he's not fucking 6-7 foot tall. He's no Big Cass or Big Show. He's a normal-sized guy like Zach and I, and the only thing is he's jacked and he knows how to wrestle and throw a good promo. But he's sitting up here picking up dudes, 30 pounds heavier than him.
Oh, yeah, easily.
And it looks weird because when I remember the torture rack, you would get a little bit of distance in between you and your shoulders between your opponent when he's on your back, and I think he needs a little bit more work on it, to get that, but it looks cool. Because, he, just the maneuvers that AJ Styles does in general are fucking nuts. Yeah. And he's done a lot of work.
Doing the 450 splash off of the ring rope, not even the turnbuckle, him catapulting himself into the phenomenal forearm, to the Pele kick. The guy's super athletic and puts on a hell of a match.
And how old is he? He's
38, 39 years old. So
yeah.
He's not a young man in the proverbial sense, and has been wrestling since he was a young man. So he's had probably close to 20 years in the business.
Yeah.
And to be relatively injury-free and to be able to perform at such a high level is just, an ode to his training and work ethic. And I'm sure there's many nights that he wrestles, just like all those guys do, where they're banged up and hurt. So kudos to AJ. It was a good match. So you started off with him and Cena, and then after 5 minutes, Ambrose comes in. And then, they're going back and forth. And there was a lot of big high-risk maneuvers. At one point in time, Ambrose and AJ are on top of a pod, banging one another's heads off the plexiglass, which looked really good. Ambrose took a couple crazy bumps where he really put his ass out on the line tonight, jumping from the top of the pod, dropping elbows, and a double hammer, which is the old school Macho Man Randy Savage technique, where he interlocks his hands because apparently that's a good way to throw a shot at someone. It's not. I've done a lot of fighting in my life. If you don't have your hand in a squared up fist, you will break nothing but fingers and bones. But for wrestling, it looked great. Then you had, what was it? It was Baron Corbin. No, excuse me. It was Bray Wyatt who came
Bray
next.
Wyatt was next.
And there was just a lot of big shots. They were really utilizing the cage. They were selling. Cena got freaking lit up a couple times where he was out of it for... I mean, really, Cena started the match and then was really out of it for a good 10 minutes.
Well, you know why that was? Because he's fucking part-time with a title that he shouldn't have because he's part-time. I'm not bitter. I'm just letting you know. He's part-time.
Yes.
Anyways, but yeah, you had Bray Wyatt come in. Cena did do something that was kind of cool. He hopped off the top of a pod into what was supposed to be like a cross-body slam and hit both AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose. Bray Wyatt, I think, was off to the side, still hurt somewhere. Then the next pod came out, and you were looking at it between The Miz and Baron Corbin, and which ended up being Baron Corbin coming out. I was a little disappointed. Like, if I had to give one knock on this pay-per-view as far as the main event goes, is that Baron Corbin getting eliminated the way he did.
And to be the first one eliminated.
Yes. Basically, he came out there doing what Baron Corbin does, and I know he is the youngest of all the superstars in there.
I would say so, but...
As far well, maybe not the youngest. He may have come in before No,
he's the youngest.
he is. Okay.
But I will say this, like, to be the proverbial big man that SmackDown has, he beat up on everybody and did a good job at it, I felt.
He came out and just, wrecked shop on a bunch of guys, and then just because The Miz is announced next and The Miz is playing his character and kind of waiting to come out of the pod, someone just I think Bray Wyatt came up behind him and just did like and I don't know if it's called an alligator roll or whatever, but he basically like laid down, put his arm up underneath his leg and flipped him over and just gets pinned on a surprise like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like, it's Baron Corbin. Like, you can't sell that to me. Now, if you hit him with some extremely badass move, like if you put him in a Sister Abigail, it'd be a little bit more believable.
Well, or even, for his own sake to continue to sell that he's a big monstrous dude, is I think more than one guy should have probably hit him with their finisher and then him get it rolled up for a pin.
Or have two guys holding him down to pin him. But I don't know if the WWE gets this or not, but you really destroy the gimmick that you're trying to sell to your customers when, again, Baron Corbin, the winner of the the Giant Award.
Yeah. The Battle Royal
gets pinned on a fucking, surprise pin whenever he's just been walking around the entire match since he's been out, which wasn't for very long, and just wrecked shop on a bunch of people.
He freaking destroyed Ambrose multiple times.
Threw him through a pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was begging for The Miz to step out. And I agree with you. Shortly after that, Ambrose is the next one that's eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And then so it's down to 4 between The Miz, John Cena, AJ Styles, and Bray Wyatt. So they really all start going at it. One of the cooler things that I saw tonight is they had Bray Wyatt literally in between the turnbuckle and ropes, and AJ hopped over the ropes and delivered a guillotine leg drop onto Wyatt from the outside, and it was awesome. It was short and sweet, but man, it looked good. And very effective, obviously. So,
yeah, it was really cool. Then after that, you had The Miz got eliminated. Who was it? I think it was John Cena hit him with an attitude adjustment or an FU, as I like to call it, because
that's what it used to be.
Because I'm not a bitch. It's called an FU. Anyways, so
Thug life. It's a basic thugonomics.
Yeah, I know we talk about all the time how about it was they're changing the name so it's more PG and kids can get into it. But I mean, seriously, it was already there. You can't just change it. And even the announcers, I noticed that Royal Rumble when John Cena put AJ Styles into an STF, the announcer was like, "Oh, it's an STFU," and then the guy had to politically correct him real quick. And it was like, well, I mean, that's what it was, and that's what most of the people that watched this recognize it as. So
I've seen that maneuver called that for years, even before Cena was doing it.
yeah, so it's not anything new. But anyways, that's just a personal gripe. So Miz gets eliminated, and you're down to AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, and John Cena. And the entire match, I was telling Zach, I was like, I just don't want Cena to keep the belt.
And I called it earlier in the week. We've been working out. I talked about it. I said, man, I feel like Cena's going to drop the belt before WrestleMania.
Yeah, and, luckily that happened. So Bray Wyatt comes up and hits him after Cena's been doing a lot of damage to AJ Styles. Comes up and hits John Cena, and it wasn't immediately after The Miz got eliminated, but there was a little bit more wrestling that went on, and hits him with the Sister Abigail, a good one at that, very well sold. Props to John Cena for doing that, and he's out of the match. Then the next thing that you have after that, which I would have been happy no matter who won, because I see two different storylines you could go with. You had AJ Styles, and you had Bray Wyatt. That was, for the last little bit, I think the match went on maybe another 6-7 minutes.
Yeah, at tops.
Yeah. That was an exciting last little bit to watch, because it made me feel like when you see a good match and you just have that wonderful moment, which the WWE doesn't do as much anymore, but they put the fans in a position where they kind of surprise you, because rather than the WWE trying to suck John Cena's dick, it's like, we're going to have, AJ can get it back, which the fans love, or they can give it to Bray Wyatt and do this whole destruction from within of the Wyatt family with Randy Orton. And, the fans were excited. I think that was the most excited all night I'd seen the fans.
Oh, God. Yeah, that is one thing I will say about this pay-per-view. Even though it wasn't the worst pay-per-view of the year, that crowd was freaking dead. And the wrestling wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just the crowd wasn't into it until you got to the main event.
Yeah, and it's one thing, there were good matches and people kind of clapped, and I know when American Alpha won, I noticed there were two guys in the front row that were cross their hands no, don't pin him, and their Ascension guys ended up losing, but you had people that were into it, but just not as big as the Elimination Chamber, especially when John Cena left, because I think there are a lot of people, except for maybe the kids that are 14 and under, that want their boy John Cena to win. Everyone else that actually gets the wrestling and everything behind it and all the work that the wrestlers put into it, that you just hate seeing someone who shows up once every 3 months have a title belt. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
There were the applause. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but John Cena, they got him out, and the whole arena was just oh yeah, there's gonna be a new champion.
Yeah. Thank you. Not the same old HLR, hustle, loyalty, respect.
Never give up. Let me wave my flag over here.
And make another Make-A-Wish donation, which is kudos to him, but just tired of it.
Yeah, we're down with, helping out kids in need and things like that, but it's just
it's time for him to ride off into the sunset.
He needs to go pretend to be The Rock. Anyways,
and now that we're looking, and we'll kind of cut this off and move on with the podcast. Having Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, which seemingly looks like
we didn't even tell him who won yet.
Goddamn, Bray Wyatt won. All right, he friggin' hit AJ with a pretty nasty looking Sister Abigail off of a phenomenal forearm that AJ was going for his own finisher, and ended it and won it. And you could tell, and kudos to Bray, he was trying to hold it together. It was a big moment for him, being his first title win, and he still tried to play the ultimate psycho bad guy, if you will. And it was also interesting because they dropped the lights and they had the WrestleMania sign showing bright in the air, and then all the fireflies, if you will, people with their cell phones holding it up. That's a cool picture that I'm sure he'll have in his freaking living room one day. But now you have a great storyline going into Mania.
And you had Randy Orton at the end of it, too.
With Orton and Wyatt. And Orton should not get the belt. It's fine to destroy it.
Why shouldn't he get the belt?
Well, he's a 12-time WWE champ. Like, he's another one that I feel, even though he's come back, like, we've seen that played over and over again. His joining with the Wyatt family for a short amount of time didn't actually change his character. He was just Randy Orton hanging out with the Wyatt family. So there's no change in, no drastic change in what he is or what he was doing. He just affiliated himself and had a really short tag team run and perceivably broke up Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt. So I don't see the point in dropping the belt to him. Hopefully they put on a crazy match and Bray retains and continues on with
How do you destroy the Wyatt family without taking the belt?
He's already done it. The trust.
No.
Bray picked Randy over Luke Harper. Is destroyed. Eric Rowan and freaking Braun Strowman aren't even on SmackDown. So initially there is no Wyatt family. And I feel now, if you're going to separate Bray and get away from the Wyatt family gimmick, you have to do it at Mania. With a big win, with a 5-star match, or equivalent to. And then he walks away and goes the way of the Undertaker in the sense, even though Taker had the Ministry of Darkness at one point in time, but, still uses the mind games and the so-called, dark forces, if you will, and holds that belt for a while because, yes, on Raw you have Kevin Owens, who's the SmackDown champion, or the Raw champion, excuse me.
Universal champion.
The Intergalactic Space Council champion. But, you have a heel over there that has the belt, but it's a different kind of heel. And I think it would be refreshing to see a dominant, crazy, asshole heel again, like an Undertaker, like someone like that, and then just put Bray on a run where he's just, again, the whole Eater of Worlds gimmick, where he's going in and I don't care who they're putting him up against.
Well, they haven't called him that in a while.
I know, but you can bring it back now. You can have that gimmick come back as his standalone gimmick, and because he has the confidence of the belt and that he's the champion, that he's just buzzsawing whoever the fuck steps in the ring with him.
So here's what I think with that. I can definitely see what you're saying. However, what I think is going to sell better with movies, there needs to be retribution, there needs to be revenge, there needs to be and heightened ambition. Everyone in the WWE universe has wanted at some point in time for Bray Wyatt to pick up the belt, and finally he has. If you look on Twitter, if you look on Facebook, everyone's like, it's about goddamn time.
Yeah, long time coming.
So,
most definitely.
Here's what you do. You do it for the fans, and you do it for the character. You roll in to WrestleMania, and Bray Wyatt loses to Randy Orton. Randy Orton becomes a 13-time heavyweight champion. Then either at the next pay-per-view or on a really good show of SmackDown, because Bray Wyatt does get a rematch, or if you just leave him in the mix until the pay-per-view, he can get it back. But the thing is that when you have a character like him who could be a anti-hero / just ultimate villain, he might take take Undertaker's place, like what you're saying, which I think does need to happen because Taker is coming up in age now. He can.
That's an understatement, brother.
Yeah.
He's in his 50s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so is Goldberg, but he's getting a title shot for Fastlane.
But Taker's wrestled a lot longer than Goldberg ever did.
True that. But you could literally take him, if you're like, destroy the Wyatt family. Randy Orton beats him. Wyatt family's done. Bray Wyatt's going on his own, and he is just the Eater of Worlds. He can really resell that again. And you can sell that gimmick throughout a build-up to a rematch or a pay-per-view. Because what people love more than anything, especially in movies, watch Rocky or something, for example, like older movies that people love, kind of the fans that you're appealing to sometimes with wrestling.
Yep.
Is that have him fall so hard, like, I've got this, I've got the title, I'm number one, and fall and fail. Your family's destroyed. It's just you now. Now I have to reinvent myself. Now I am the eater of worlds, and I can sell that even more, and there's that passion there. And now you want Bray Wyatt to be this badass, just buzzsaw kill everyone that comes in his wake. Have him lose the title, make him angry, make him the proverbial eater of worlds, and he can get the title back, and he can go on a long run of just destroying people, because there's nothing that's going to fuel that character more than having a loss like that as soon as you get the one thing that you've always wanted, getting the precipice on top of Mount Olympus and then falling and climbing back to it.
I agree. In a lot of the senses, I agree. The one thing, though, that I want to see in the WWE is a dominant champion, in the sense of, heels are supposed to lie, cheat, and steal, unless you're a Brock Lesnar type heel, where just looking at the guy, you tell yourself in your head, who the fuck's going to beat him? I would put the same thing if you had someone like The Big Show, even Undertaker in his prime. I don't expect anyone to be able to beat them clean 1, 2, 3 in the in the middle of the mat. So I'm looking for a legitimate run out of, as Evan put it before, maybe a anti-hero. I think we're due for that again, because we've had so many years of the cut, copy, paste, cookie cutter style John Cena's or Roman Reigns or whoever else it is, that when they put a good guy, that's what they got. Now, I know you can't reinvent a Stone Cold Steve Austin every decade. That was a one-off. And I think they had a slight touch of it again with The Rock. And that was that era. But it's been a long time since we've had something where you like the guy, but you don't like him, but you want to see him. He's not good, he's not bad. He just gets in there and he busts his ass. And hopefully they'll continue with Bray and there'll be success with that. Proud of the guy. I know it's a great accomplishment. He comes from a wrestling family, and for him, I guarantee he's rolling cloud 9 tonight. So, though you're probably not listening to it, Bray, congratulations, brother. I know he was one of the original dudes in Next, man.
Yeah.
So to see that, which is also exciting from a wrestling standpoint, to see someone who is a minor leaguer, if you will, to lack of a better term, come up and now, yet again, has a title. Because if you look at Kevin Owens was self-made. Yeah. He was independent. He was ROH, Ring of Honor, for those who don't know. And, he was in the game 14, 15 years before he came to the WWE. And, he's held on the belt for a long time, which is awesome. And obviously they've strapped it on Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and that's kind of worked, kind of not. We could bitch about that for the next hour. But to see someone who literally was stuck with a gimmick, he was originally called like Husky Harris. And it was just this, he was this baby face, nice, kind of out of shape guy, and it was just a horrible gimmick. And whoever come up with it, whether it was him or whoever else that come up with the Wyatt gimmick, kudos, because there's something there. And the WWE has missed having that somewhat dark faction until the Wyatts come along, and we've talked about it before personally, me and you working out, like when Finn Balor comes back, that if they're ever to do a heel turn with him, use that Demon King gimmick and make him just fucking dark. As dark as you can push it without, obviously satanic shit. You don't want to cross that boundary, but make it dark, make him evil if you were to do that. And I think you can do that with Bray. You can go one of two ways with it. You can go Undertaker-esque, where everybody loved him, but he was still the dead man, as people enjoy watching him now, even though he's older. or make him extremely dark, where when he was the Undertaker, snatching the world title, beating Hogan, beating other guys for it, and coming out with a hokey gimmick, but able to reinvent it every few years and make people just love him.
Yeah, he was the ultimately Undertaker, of course, is known no matter what as the Phenom.
Yep.
He is terrifying when he would come into the ring, like when he wrestled back, and this is when he had Paul Bearer as an advocate for him.
You're talking, I think 1990, 91 is when he made his appearance, and it was at a SummerSlam, I believe.
Yeah, but there was a match. There was he was trying to be like a Samoan Indian guy, big black guy. I can't think of his name. Real fat, but it was a coffin match. It's on if you watch it.
Viscera?
No. Way before that.
Yokozuna?
Yokozuna was in a Buried Alive match with him, but it was before that. It was very, very early. But wrestlers, and they tried to sell this for him being the dead man, with Paul Bearer being his advocate. Wrestlers, when he would get into the ring, they would try to run from him because they were terrified. And you can do that with Bray Wyatt, absolutely, just because he already has that dark, I know he's trying to avoid satanic, but he has that satanic, scary look to him. You can do the same thing if you really play on Finn Balor's Demon King more and kind of make it like an alter ego kind of deal. Because he's one of those people that you can put between good and bad, but if you really wanted to try to sell, for this run, or make it like the Incredible Hulk almost. Like if you piss Finn Balor off enough, when he comes into a match with you, if he starts crawling out as the Demon King,
you're SOL.
You get terrified. And I know he's not a big guy, but and he hasn't done this on Raw. Of course, he's been injured for a while. But when he comes out with the full headdress and the makeup and all that, dude, it is, if a fucker walked in like that right now, I mean, of course we could cap his ass, but still, at first glance, it'd be like, fuck, I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, absolutely. So needless to say, we enjoyed the main event. I would give, if I had to give a grade, I would give it a good solid B. As far as the whole pay-per-view, I was entertained. I watched it more intently and awake this time because I had 5 hours of sleep today, and I highly caffeinated myself.
Highly caffeinated.
Yeah, from the get-go. But I enjoyed it. I loved giving Bray the belt. There are other things I didn't like, but I think it's time to move on now. Me and Evan started talking about wanting to do other things with the podcast, and the back and forth I felt that we were missing with one another. And he has some ideas, and we'll kind of touch on them as we go along. Evan, what do you got?
So we're going to do a new section that's called the Maniverse. We're going to hop in our spacesuits, and we're going to skyrocket off into the sky and go into the world that is the Maniverse. And there are 3 things that we're going to be looking for. Of course, it's going to be more than this, but we're looking at beer, boobs, and bacon. Or booty. Or anything else that starts with a B that men like. So, kind of what we're going to do, we're just going to talk about things that men like, or if there's something...
Whatever strikes our fancy.
Yeah, if there's something funny that happens in our lives that is relatable to this topic, we're going to talk about it. And this topic, mind you, of course, you know this about the podcast, is going to be pretty explicit. It can be anything. And, of course, kind of what we have today, which I will let Zach elaborate on this more as his face starts to grow red.
So, my beautiful wife went to... And what she used to do, initially what it is, they're called Pure Romance. But for any of the women that might be listening, it is a sex toy party. And she brought home a catalog because she was sending me pictures and cracking up. And like I said, she used to do this back in the day and sell all these products and whatnot. But this catalog is full of just, it's not even the toys, just it's these different a conditioner and protective shave cream called Coochie. Like, who names this fucking shit?
It's called Coochie. What is that? I didn't read that one earlier.
It's a protective conditioning shave cream for your vagina.
For your coochie.
For your coochie. Exactly. And there's all these different things, you know. They have their own line of soaps and all that other bullshit.
What does a soap do? I mean, seriously.
Well, I mean, no, it's just like your regular shower stuff, fragrances and everything. But then you have, like, Legend, and this is for the men, so, you know, because everybody wants to be a legend.
So, wait a minute. So, like, these sex parties, I thought they were just for women.
No, they have stuff for both, but it's mainly predominantly towards women.
So when you go, you have your family has much more experience in this than I do.
Yeah, me and my wife do, yes.
Yes, I should probably say you and your wife, not your family.
But like, a long line of sex parties in my family.
It's what we do. It's the Mendenhall tradition.
Way back.
So, like, your girl comes home and, like, gets you this Legend stuff, right?
And it's, like, this stuff it's literally a 2-in-1 body wash and shampoo and a shave. It's all the same fragrance. You know, it's kind of like whatever else. If you did, you know, Dollar Shave Club and you use their body wash and beard cream and everything else and all had that same smell because you want them to go together, it's the same.
You want to know what's
preference.
interesting, though? Since you brought up Dollar Shave Club, there's actually this symbol is the exact same symbol that Dollar Shave Club has.
And it might actually be from them. It's a good possibility.
Maybe they don't advertise that.
They may not. But it has a bunch of little stuff and all these different, you know, ointments and everything else. And then you start getting into, like, the Burning Desire candle, which comes with chalk because it's the, you know, the paint where you can draw on it with chalk.
Yeah.
And it's a sensual massage candle. So initially you can burn it and then pour it on your significant other or your booty call for that night and massage it in the hot oil. Interesting. I don't know about how that works.
You burn it and then it's hot and you pour it on?
Well, it doesn't, like, you know, things have different burn rates, right, with candles. Like, they have certain wax. Like, if you took a regular candle, right?
If you pour
just
okay,
hang with me here. If you took a regular candle and stuck it, you know, lit it on fire, and then you stuck your finger in the wax, it would burn the living fuck out of you. But certain candles, because of whatever they mix them with, have a different temperature rate. Mm-hmm. So it's safe to put on the skin or to, like, that. That's for, it literally becomes massage oil. I don't know the fucking science behind it. I just know the shit works.
But what I'm saying is, like, it finishes burning, or you blow it out because you and your lady or man, if you're into that, are ready to go, and you pour it on them. Mm-hmm. Like, it should be hot. Like, that shit's going to burn. Well, it's going to be
warm, but it's not hot in the... Again, it's a different burn rate, so the temperature doesn't raise as high.
Have you ever accidentally spilled wax on yourself before?
I absolutely have.
Immediately after blowing out a candle?
Yes.
It burns.
It does burn. I'm telling you, this stuff is done in a different way.
You're telling me.
I'm fucking telling you.
All right.
So
fair enough.
Then we get into other shit, right? This is where I'll let Evan jump in. Evan, tell us what we have here and all these different arrays.
Yes. I was really intently looking at these earlier as I watched the Elimination Chamber. Not really, but so we have the Wonderland collection here, and it looks like it's a bunch of, like, dildo / vibrator kind of deal, and there's, like, a ring. I don't know what this ring is. I'll get to it in a second. The names are quite interesting, though. And again, they all come in the color teal blue, so if that is your thing, these are just for you. You've got one that's called Discover Me, which is a teasing touch, or you can fulfill your desires. The choice is yours. With the silicone vaginal vibrator with 7 exhilarating vibration speeds and pulsing patterns.
I ain't trying to sell shit to him. Listen.
I'm trying to sell shit.
It's a goddamn big-ass catalog of fucking dildos and vibrators. And that ring he's talking about, which by the size of it, you better be a girthy motherfucker, is set up for you and your woman.
I just wanted to see if I still had that sales echo. I'm not done reading this. Don't take this from me.
Listen, the way I look at it is 99% of this stuff in here is for a woman because apparently men are doing something wrong.
I mean, either that or you're it goes two ways. Like, you and your girl want to have fun at home and try something different, which is fine. But still, you're looking at this ring called Room for Two, and it's like you just I don't know how you fit, because it's not. I have no clue. I need to turn the page. This is just crazy. Like, you have to. There's no way that fits. I don't know. I might get one and try it. Who knows? The next page, though, we've got here is called the Blush Collection. Rather than coming in a teal color, everything comes in blue this time. I don't know if that associates with the word blush or what the deal is. Oh, and this magazine, at these parties, like, they even have pro tips. They let you know that everything is reversible, and it comes in, like, 2 different textures and shit like that. I mean, this shit is intricate. I'm sitting here, like, I don't even know, like, it doesn't even look like a dildo or anything anymore. It just looks, it's like you've got, like, a cylinder with some ribs on it. I don't know. And there's this other one that has two little circles on it. I might have to ask Zach about this one. Zach, what is a E right here? It's called the Rendezvous. What the fuck is that?
It's a cock ring.
It's a cock ring.
It's a cock ring.
Okay.
It vibrates. See, the controls set up there for the lady to have it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, like, you strap that on and you just flip it on?
Yep, and then she cranks away and it helps you and her, apparently. Listen, there's all kinds of crazy shit out there. Now, I will say this, because I'm sure some people are like, oh my God, you guys are talking about this.
Yeah, we are.
I brought this up. There's rarely anything in here for a man. Why? Because God bless us with 2 hands, and any man with 2 hands has a fighting chance to do his own thing and needs nothing else for assistance except for his imagination or maybe
do you
a magazine.
think James Ellsworth and Carmella use these?
I don't think James Ellsworth is having anything to do with Carmella off camera, because she's hot and he's hideous.
No. Now listen, because we had a discussion about 2 people that we know recently, and it was that the guy didn't have good looks at all, but she was with him, you know, for him, you know, whether he's nerdy or sweet or whatever, but he had no business being with her. So obviously, like, there's something.
Well, in any situation, man or woman, you can look past certain transgressions, if you will.
Ooh, I didn't even get into all these over here. We'll have to stop at that one.
I think for the most part, there's still got to be some basic connection or level at least. Now Evan's getting into the BDSM, or, yeah.
Now, this I'm interested in because, you know, I will first and foremost admit, just from doing wrestling or working out and things like that, that pain doesn't really bother me. As Zach almost spits out his. I'm not saying
I'm
that.
Finding out more than I wanted to know, kids.
No. I'm just saying that, like, it.
Apparently, listen. You're getting ready to go to the Philippines for $20. They'll probably do whatever you need them to do.
Actually,
little choke and tickle, little slap the pickle, whatever you got to do, homie.
I'll be open and honest. I don't give a fuck. So, like, I looked up a lot of different shit with the Philippines since you wanted to bring this up.
I didn't want to bring it up. I'm just throwing out the truth.
No, you brought it up. It's all you. So, you have in the Philippines, allegedly, if you go there, which I will not partake in, I'm not that kind of guy, but it's just, you look up shit on the internet and you want to know about where you're going. Prostitution is apparently legal there. And you can actually get cards, like, say, if you were to go pick up a prostitute, for $75, which is 4,000 Filipino pesos, you can get for the entire day, a grade A prostitute with
certified beef.
Yeah, certified beef with who knows what she's doing and has no STDs whatsoever.
Because that's not a risk.
For a day. If I went to Vegas and did that,
now it cost you $1,000. It cost you $25,000
easily for the day. even if we didn't do anything, we just hung out. It's like if I went there by myself, I would probably get one not to do anything, but just to hang out and be like, "Hey,
So
can
you like video games?
Yeah, like show me what this is. We can talk about sports. I can smooze you over with how I am the legend of the bluegrass who loves kicking ass on the main event, and just hang out with you and be pals for a day." But I mean, shit, like you want to talk about cheap? That's cheap.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm looking at this magazine right now since we're talking about pain and whatnot. Everything is like an onyx teaser, a blindfold onyx paddle. The one that interests me the most is the onyx teaser because it looks like a goddamn mace, like some shit that you see on fucking
It's
Game
a
of
bejeweled
Thrones.
chained whip. Listen, all that shit's because women, and this is what cracks me up about the so-called feminist movement and all this other shit, except for there was 100 goddamn million copies of 50 Shades of I'll Beat Your Ass in the Bedroom that was sold, that women got off on fucking...
Is that an actual porno, I'll beat your ass in the bedroom?
I bet it is. I bet you type that in your Google search, you'll find it.
Do you want me to look that up on my phone real quick?
I believe it's that new Chris Brown Rihanna song. My wife clued me in on that too. She's like, listen to this song, and I'm like, what the fuck? So apparently Rihanna's completely retarded and okay with domestic abuse. And I'm not talking about the whole bondage thing where you like getting your butt paddled or a little whipping or a little choking. We're talking about getting choke slammed and punched in the face because she come out with some dumbass song more or less insinuating that it's completely fine for your significant other to beat the hell out of you as long as the sex is good, which is about as mentally retarded as you can get. So nonetheless. But continuing to look in the magazine, there's all kinds of stuff. Now I will say this. For those of you who are vanilla plain. Ladies and gentlemen, people around the world have been fucking for couple thousand years. You might want to figure some shit out.
The Earth is more than 2,000 years old, Zach.
That's why I said what?
You said a couple. That's two.
Okay, bitch. Listen. People have been fucking since the dawn of time.
Thank you.
Okay.
You can continue.
Okay. So, you got to figure out what you got to figure out. And this is, once you get into this kind of category of shit, that's when you've been with someone for a long time, I feel like. You ain't going to whip it out the first night and be like, hey, I'm into fucking whatever you're into. Hot wax and needles in the butt crack. And you're like, whoa.
Do you want me to make a challenge and order stuff from this? And then, since I'm a single man, at a stout 25 years old, 172 pounds
it depends
of raw
on
muscle.
It depends on who you're calling. If we're talking Charlie Brown, that's an inside joke, kids, and we won't be talking about that.
We'll have a secret show one day about that and let you know.
Double top secret probation, like Animal House.
It'll only come out on Spotify, not Spotify, but SoundCloud. I get those two mixed up all the time. Fuck.
So, getting away from this for a minute, this arises another question for me, though.
Oh yes, ask away.
What is the greatest injury you've ever had having sex?
Having sex?
Yeah, like whether it was just a fucking Charlie horse, whatever. What do you got?
Oh man, so this was in it was in college. It was either in college or right before I went to college. I went to school at the University of Kentucky. You see what that's got me. I'm now the on an award-winning podcast that hasn't won an award yet, but that's what UK does to you. It makes you great. So, and I'm really good at basketball for some reason. I haven't figured that out yet, but like I took chemistry classes, and all of a sudden I've got mad hoops. It's weird. So, it was before college. I was with a girl. I wasn't dating her at the time, and we were, I won't get into specifics, but I ended up, something came down upon me, and I had a pop, like in my it was like from my knee right up to my quads on my right side, and it felt terrible. Like I thought I had broken my knee, and like immediately as soon as that happened, I was like, "No, get off! You gotta just leave it be." You know,
I'm dead to you now.
I need like 5 minutes to figure out what's going on, and my leg went numb. I don't know if I popped it or bursted a blood vessel or something, but my leg was numb for like 5-10 minutes. It was terrible. And, like, I tried to get up and, like, hobble for a second. I realized, I was like, fuck. I was like, I can't walk. I was like, this bitch might have broken my leg. And the weird thing, too, is, like, she wasn't a big girl. She was very...
it's all about the angle, man. Joints and stuff like
she
that.
She weighed, like, 130
Yeah,
tops.
it wouldn't even matter, dude. It's all...
It was like... It was the velocity at which... she came down, just hurt my leg, and I was just like, nope. I was like, we can't be.
Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
I mean, like, I've had Charlie horses and things like that before, and, like, all that is
there's almost nothing worse than to be mid-session, if you will, and just hamstring or like... you're doing your best, and they're just enjoying it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, God damn.
I've found a way to power through that, though.
I've thrown someone off of me before because of that, because literally I was almost in tears from my leg locking up.
Listen, like, when you're on top, and, like, if you get a Charlie horse, like, you know, if you stretch the leg out, like, you can kind of, it'll go away and it'll even itself out.
Yeah.
If you can power through it, which I've had some nasty Charlie horses in my time, but if you get one and you power through it and just, like, extend the leg out, whatever you're doing, just keep going, the adrenaline and the dopamine and everything else that runs through your body,
do you
it'll
think
go
that's
away.
why a dog kicks his other leg up when he's humping?
Yes, exactly.
Try to prevent that. Okay.
They probably, like, dogs are probably so advanced with that because they only have one position, so they know. And, I mean, they probably just preemptively just, I'm going to kick my leg out, go at it, and you're good. That's all you have to do, I promise you. Like, if it happens, kick the leg out, just power through, you're good. What's your worst injury?
I would just have to, minus the occasional Charlie horse or something like that. Now, I have a pre-existing condition because I had major damage done to my hips.
You've kind of been blown up a time or two.
Yeah, once or twice. But I've had big issues with my hips over the years. And I've had where... just like to put it into understanding, like I drove home from work and got out of the truck and I moved like I'm about 93 years old because my hips don't want to move.
It's not just then. You got up off the couch earlier during
absolutely.
the Elimination Chamber and you hobbled.
Yeah, absolutely.
At 31 years old, hobbled.
So you can think that when you're in a precarious position and you're doing God's work, if you will, that you might get a little stiff in the joints and your dismount is severely limited. But I think the worst has to be, and I don't care who it's with, is if you're going to town and you rear back a little too far and catch an inner thigh, because not only does it hurt your partner because they just got bludgeoned with a large object, or at least hopefully in most people's cases, but you just rammed it into a solid wall of flesh, and it bent in a direction that God didn't intend it to bend.
Oh my God, that would be terrible.
And if you've ever, when me and my wife used to travel back and forth from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, home, I would get bored, because I do a lot of the driving, and she'd start reading this website called F My Life.
Oh, dude, that website is awesome.
It is awesome. And then occasionally she'd get one, and it would be this, they're going at it hot and heavy, and, he's got his girlfriend pinned up against a wall and slips out and then literally breaks his penis. So that's the thought process that runs through your mind automatically when you slip out and just tag a thigh real hard. You're like, oh, God, it's broken and I'm going to die. Like, if I'm not going to die, I might shoot myself because... it's going to be at a weird, acute angle for the rest of my fucking life.
So, since you brought that up, I was with a girl about 3 months ago, and she mentioned that, in mid doing the deed, it was like, oh, well, it's like, I don't want to, lean back or too much because I don't want to snap your dick in half. And I was like, it's not going to, if you come down on it, it might, but if you just lean, you're fine. If you lean back, it's okay. But, and I'll tell you what, like, it's nice that there's a lady out there that is looking out for you and doesn't want to hurt it. But, I mean, it's just, you know...
It doesn't work that way.
No, I think people have to realize, too, that you have to put some force behind it. And once again, you know, I'm sorry that happened to you. That sounds fucking terrible. But, you know, like, if you just bend it, it doesn't fucking break. I mean, if you come down on it hard, it's a different story. But, I can't imagine. Like, it'd be like taking
It's going to happen sometime, dude. You're going to be going to town. You're both going to be into it. You're going to just get just a little too overzealous, pull back, and inside. I'm talking that corner pocket of the thigh, between the thigh and the vagina, and you're going to catch right there, and then you will literally double over in pain because you hit a wall, and like... And then it's that complete panic mode, right? Where they're like, oh my God, are you okay? What happened? And you're like, tears rolling, still trying to keep an erection because you're a goddamn man and you want to finish this. And you don't know how this is going to work out. Yeah.
I just, goddamn, like that would be like just taking it, just ramming it into a wall and just be like, here you go. That's what you get.
Yeah.
I don't want to experience that ever. I hope that never happens to me because I don't know what I will do. The leg thing was bad enough because I thought my leg was broken.
And everyone's done that, you know. I've even had, the wife's gotten cramps before. She's like, oh my God. It's one of those things you laugh about later, you know, afterwards.
It's always kudos, like, you know, to the girl I was with at the time for my most famous injury. Like... If I could give her a shout out and not embarrass her, I would. But for a 130-pound girl just to like have that much velocity, like, props to you. Like, you've got something going on there. But I digress. I mean, it's rough, man. Literally.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else? I mean, we opened that little freaking Pandora's box and worked our way through it.
Yeah, if we haven't made our audience red in the face yet, I don't know. I mean, I could get into some other stuff, but...
Ooh, here, I'm going to talk about something that's really been fucking chapping my ass this week.
Tell me. I don't want to know about your chapped ass, though. You can just tell me what bothers you.
Let me tell you, if I was a baboon, I'd have the brightest red ass in the fucking jungle.
Well, I'm sorry that you had to work 65 hours
No,
this week.
It's not. It's nothing to do with that. My issue is with this, and me and Evan have talked about this a few times. Listen, if you're one of these sappy-ass, weak motherfuckers who every time you turn around, you gotta cry and whine on Facebook about how rough your life is and how things are so hard and you don't know how you'll get through it, save me the motherfucking pain of having to see you on there. Because I don't give a fuck. Because I'm old school. I'm old school in the sense of this. My mama and daddy raised me right that it was either power through or lay down and fucking die. Neither one of the, lay down and die is not an option. Guess what, kids? Every one of you, anyone who's listening to this realizes that at a point in time or two in their life, it sucks. Shit gets rough. You either fucking quit or you keep on going. I have never, ever encountered, and I'm talking in a 10-year fucking career where I went to war fucking 4 goddamn different times, that I said, nope, this situation's too bad, I give up. Fuck you, pay me. Suck it up.
You're going to get someone to pay you for that?
Yes, absolutely. Why not? That's what they need to do, because apparently life's so goddamn hard they can't do anything else. And I don't care who it is. If you're that fucking asshole on TV, or you're the one on Facebook, or whatever the case may be, that you sit there and bitch, whine, and complain because you literally want attention, I hate your guts. I'm not talking about, hey, pray for me or pray for my family because my child's sick or my grandma's doing bad. That's acceptable. I'm talking just your... What's the words I'm looking for? Your faint, just vague-ass fucking bitching about life.
A buddy of mine came up with a name for people like that, and I think you'll really like it. Shout out to Chris Merriweather. He calls them fishers, because what it is there's nothing wrong with their life, but they're having a small turbulence, or they're not willing to get up off their ass and achieve a goal that they want to achieve, and they'll complain about it to fish for comments, for fish for compliments to say, hey, it's going to be okay, or try to draw attention.
We love you, buddy.
Yeah, like things like that. It's the people, it's those kind of people that can't do that. I have actually, so I think you're exactly right. I feel the same way. But I have a little bit different philosophy. I'd have to pull up my phone to find the guy's name, but it's a one-legged, I don't know if he's a Marine, Navy SEAL.
Derek Wells is who you're talking about.
Derek Wells, yes. So he and I happen to share the same last name. And
or Weddle, something like that. Anyways, he's a veteran.
So,
lost his leg in Afghanistan due to an IED bomb blast. He stepped on a fucking bob, ladies and gentlemen. Blew off his right leg.
Blew off his right leg. Like, he fucking, like...
Knee down.
Yeah, knee down, like, has no leg there. He has one regular leg, and then the other one is prosthetic. And the thing that I have with people that complain, it's not just on Facebook, but it's anywhere in the world. If you're just having a conversation with somebody, I think people forget it. What separates someone from being a normal person to being a great person is that you need to realize that even though, like, things are tough, like, there can be some really hard things that happen in life. I know I've had them in the past 8 months of my life, is that, you know, there are things that go on and you just have to deal with them and you have to live life and be happy. You can't just sit around and complain and boo-hoo about it. You have, just like this Derek gentleman, you have the same 24 hours in an entire day. You can either complain that, like, you know, of course Derek doesn't do this, but you can complain that you don't have a leg, or, you know, I can't do this workout, or I can't go do this because I don't have 2 legs.
I don't have the time.
Or you can be like Derek and say, well, despite me having this, I'm going to do it anyways, and we'll just see how it goes. And whether he makes it or not, because he posts a bunch of videos of him doing some insane workouts. Like, he's a big workout buff.
Yeah.
Big bodybuilder, and he is huge, let me tell you. Like, all props to him. Like, he's doing something right. I don't know if it's something in the water.
No, he's a super stud, but
he is what people should strive to be. You know, not, I mean, people who are handicapped or people who, you know, are fortunate like Zach and I are, that we don't have any issues, you know. You should try every day no matter what. Like, if Zach and I work out, we work out Monday through Friday. You know, we hit a different specific muscle every day. I know certain people do muscle groups and only work 3 times a week, and that's fine too. Everybody has their own way to get their results. But Zach and I, we work out Monday through Friday, at least an hour and a half every day. I know I've seen a lot of results from it. I've gained, I think, 7 or 8 pounds of muscle mass. And if you were to take a picture of me, 4 months ago to now, I look bigger, and I'm proud of that. Same thing with Zach too. You know, Zach is slimming down a little bit, and his muscles, like, his definition's really starting to come back. But the point
my definition's coming back. I wish I was slimming down. That's what happens when you get older.
Well, he is. I'm around him every day, so I notice a little bit more. But not to get on us. But my point is, whether it's working out, you're going to school, or trying to get a promotion at a job, or whatever it is, when you take the time to go out and do it, regardless of how difficult it is, like what separates someone from being normal and someone from being great at something, is that even if you go and you get 4 to 5 hours of sleep a day and that's it, but you are chasing a dream or a goal, it's worth it, especially when you accomplish it, because once you get to the point that you want to get at, there's no stopping you. You will come to realize that there is no greater satisfaction than going against the odds of something, no matter how difficult you think it is, that you can achieve it. And that there's no like, working out for me, you know, I never expected to be as big as I am now. I kind of expected, you know, just because my genetics, I have a nice metabolism, to kind of say kind of slim. But I'm starting to get a little bit bigger, you know, just like this Derek gentleman is, you know, with one leg, is turned into a fucking just workout monster.
Yeah, he's an ultra beast, man.
Yeah, like there's something to be said about jumping over that hurdle.
Oh, well, and there's this, and I'm going to add this. is in life so much and so often, depending on if you're a type A or type B personality in that sense, that, you know, someone tells you can't do something, what's the old adage? You know, fuck you, I'll do it anyways. We get wrapped around so much that sometimes we need to tell ourselves that. You know, well, I ain't got the time. No, fuck that. That's bullshit. You got the time. Like, I tell people, and it blows them away. We'll have these talks at work all the time. Hey, Zach, you watched the latest season of Game of Thrones? Or you watched? I don't fucking watch TV. As much as I'd love to watch all these shows, and I'm sure they're goddamn awesome and all this crap, if I catch some TV on Saturday and Sunday, I'm lucky. Literally, my schedule goes, get in bed by 8:30 after me having worked out and showered, get up at 2:30 in the afternoon, go get my kid, spend an hour or two with my wife, which involves dinner, and my son, which he's 4 years old. He wants to watch his TV, you know, whatever show he's on, and it just doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit. And then on the weekends, you know, we try to do family stuff together. There might be TV on, but it's nothing I don't put time and effort into it, is the best way I put it. There's other stuff. Things I need to do that I should devote more time to is like reading, which I love to read, whether it's comic books or just regular novels. You know, I've read tons of books, probably well over 100 plus books in my life, being on deployments and stuff like that, because reading's great. You know, continuing to just improve on myself and other things. We get trapped in our own head so many times with, well, I just don't have time for that. And then you sit on the couch for 45 fucking minutes. You know, that's why I beat myself up a lot of times where, like, if I come home and me and Evan were having a conversation, it was like last Monday, and all of a sudden I started doing all the dishes. Was the dishes left over, and 10 minutes I had them knocked out. I could have sat down, we could have continued our conversation, and I'd have done absolutely nothing. Instead, I just said, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do it. You know, it's not just multitasking, it's just getting in that mindset of going and not letting it stop you, whether it's finances, whether it's education, physical fitness, making meals at home. There's so much that you can touch on if you just tell yourself to get the fuck up and get moving.
It is, and the thing about reaching your goals, that it is 90% mental, 10% physical, and having that drive to go do it.
It's 99% you. You know, who's physically holding you back? Who's physically telling you you can't do whatever it is? Because 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. We've bullshitted before, but you control your own fucking destiny. You know, if you're vastly overweight and you want to quit, you can quit. If you want to quit smoking, you can quit. You just got to get that mentality. But what we do as a society is we go, well, we want a quick fix, or we want someone else to help us, or we want, you know, a medicine, or we want whatever else, because, well, it's hard to be dedicated to something.
And it is. That's the thing. Like, it's difficult. Like, Zach and I, when we first started working out, trying to reach the workout goals that we had, and I'm just going to use us as an example. I mean, please don't take it as us being narcissistic about ourselves, but when we first started working out, I mean, there were times, like, there were weeks where, like, we would really fuck up bad, and we'd work out, like, once or twice a week, and the rest of the time we'd just fuck around, or we'd make an excuse or whatever.
You know, too busy today, I'm tired.
Yeah, like, since then, it's not, in the past, like, 3 months, it hasn't been that way. No. It's been every day except Saturday and Sunday, you know, in the gym.
You got to get in there and you just got to grind it out. I don't give a shit what it is. You have one life. One fucking life. If you're dedicated to getting a college degree, that should be your main focus. If you're dedicated to getting back in shape and being in the best shape you are, that should be your focus. If it's to make your marriage better, or your relationship with your friends better, or get that promotion at work, are you actually devoting your fucking time and effort to it, or are you making excuses? Because if you're making fucking excuses, you're cheating yourself, and nobody gives a shit. Like, we are, as as human beings, we are our own worst enemies, regardless of what that situation is. Like saving money. You know, we deal with it all the time. People talk about saving money. Oh, I just ain't got the money. I ain't got the money. Yet you'll see them stop at McDonald's every day, or they're buying just stupid shit, right? That you're going, well, fuck, dude. If you're trying to save X amount of money for something, say a new vehicle, why are you spending $10 a day eating fast food when you could bring fucking sandwiches, or you could, dude, we could go on endlessly.
If discipline is an issue, there are 3 things I would suggest to people if you want to acquire, 4 things if you want to acquire discipline. The first one is, we've talked about Jocko Willink on our podcast before. I think episode 2 we discussed him a little bit. He's a retired Navy SEAL.
Yeah, 23 years, I believe.
Yeah, big Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu martial artist, highly intelligent person. He has a book called Extreme Ownership. And if you want to become a leader, or if you want to learn discipline, because like Zach and I can talk about it all day, but Jocko has this way, just for anyone that I've ever recommended his podcast or his book to, Extreme Ownership. If you get that book and read it, which I am about halfway through it now, it will teach you discipline and leadership and the sacrifices you have to make. And it doesn't just go through the bullshit of, if you do this, you will get X. Like, he goes in between circle and X, like the difficulties that you have to incur to get to being great. And it's honestly his book, Extreme Ownership, that he has written. You can go pick it up at Barnes & Nobles. It's in the business leadership section. Go check it out there and read it, and you will learn discipline. Like, seriously, like, read the book. If it takes you 2 or 3 times reading through and like making some anecdotes, or like writing in the book things that stand out to you, you will learn it. The second thing that you can do for people who are physically fit or want to become more fit than they are, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Zach used to. Of course, he does Marine Corps martial arts. He's been doing it for 10 years. Take up a martial art like jiu-jitsu if you have the time to do it.
Even if you don't want to work out, you should be able to defend yourself anyways.
Yes.
So that's a great thing for your cardiovascular system. It's going to get you stronger. It's going to make you more confident as a person. And you should have that knowledge base, whatever it is. I don't care if it's karate. Jiu-jitsu is a great thing to have, especially for someone who doesn't want to be violent. It's being able to... yes, you can be very violent with jiu-jitsu.
Yes, you can.
Do not get me wrong. You can snap bones and necks and all kinds of nice little things, but it allows you to control an opponent. Whether it's taekwondo or aikido, or there's so much of it that involves that discipline factor.
Yes. The thing with jiu-jitsu that I like as a person that practices jiu-jitsu and has for, this will be my 2nd year, jiu-jitsu in particular is a mindset. It is a chess game against your opponent, and it makes you think ahead, and it requires you to have a discipline to, even in the most undesirable of circumstances, think your way out of it. And you can apply that same mindset not only to when you are in combat with another person in jiu-jitsu, but you can apply that to life as well, to keep yourself 3 steps ahead of your problems in life. Another thing you can do as well, which of course Zach did, is you can join the military, which is something I've noticed out of most men and women I've met in the military, is that and this is more geared towards kids coming out of high school and things like that. If you don't have a place to go or you're not really sure what you want to do, I've noticed just from meeting Zach and meeting different men and women in the military, is that they teach that discipline. And Zach can probably go into that a whole lot more than I can, but I can say as an outsider, the people that I meet that were devoted to their branch in the military, and I mean even, National Guard, Marines, whatever, there's a part of those people that have a discipline and understand when they took everything in, especially if they became in leadership positions, to where you're disciplined and you know what you need to execute to get something done.
And I'll kind of say this in closing to keep this on a little shorter side since we've been cranking out some long podcasts.
We're Dr. Phil'ing the shit out of you right now.
Evan is correct in that sense, but there's a lot to learn there. And with, so much of the discipline military-wise, it is literally a mantra of mission accomplishment, that it goes before you. What it teaches you, especially, being a Marine and being in the infantry, was you don't matter. You're not the goal. You're not you're not the fucking special snowflake that keeps everything goddamn working around here. You're part of the fucking team. And if you falter, you don't fail yourself, you fail everybody. And that is a very powerful thing that keeps you going. You can apply that to your family. Whether it's just you and your wife, or you, your wife and your kids, or you, your wife, your mom and dad, that if you falter and fail, you don't fail you fail all of them. And that is a huge motivator to continue to push through and to become, whether it's physically or mentally tough, because that's what it's all about. And getting people to understand that sometimes, because we, I think, as human beings, are very self-centered. The whole pain aspect, the whole just discomfort. People don't like that. Why? Because we live soft, easy lives. Well, there's sacrifice that has to be given. And when you find that someone who is successful in life, it's because they are willing to sacrifice a lot. Whether it is time, whether it is money, whether it is, physical, mental. They sacrifice everything to get to the goal, and that's what it comes down to. Discipline can be taught, and it can be achieved. Your goals can be achieved. You just gotta, coming from one of my good friends, Scott Potter, you gotta man the fuck up. Sack up, boy. Shit's not gonna be easy. No one's handing you anything. Make it work for you.
Yes, and in closing, with everything else that we're talking about, Zach and I are harsh on ourselves and we're harsh on society because we want the world to be greater. Even the people we're talking about right now, and it's not to anyone specific, it's as a generality, that people that complain or having hard times and all they want to do is whine and bitch on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, what the fuck ever, is that no matter where you're at in life, if you take the time to change it and you make the change in yourself, it can happen. I'm not going to like you if you sit around and bitch all day and don't try to change it. That's fucking stupid. But you can go out there and change those things, and you should. We support people at any time. We know people from all walks of life, especially in the workout scene, that are trying to lose weight or to gain muscle mass. And even if those guys are trying, whether it be genetics or they're trying different things or whatever, we support those people. We support you if you listen to us right now and you're trying to make a change.
Whatever it is, as long as it's for the positive, we're there for you.
As long as it's the positive for you, even if you've been one of those people that hops on social media and cries about whatever all the time, if you make that change, good on you. We're not going to bash you for it. No human being should. But in closing with that, that's our end of our Maniverse / Dr. Phil moment for the day. We won't always be that intense on it. We'll be a little bit more fun like we were with the sex toys and things like that. But that's just kind of something that's been ticking with us for a while. But I hope you guys like the new Maniverse section. I think that's something we're going to start doing. I kind of liked it myself. I think Zach did as well. Again, guys, hit us up if you like our show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play, or on YouTube. We're on every major platform. Please find us. Give us a 5-star review. If you like us, leave a comment. You can find us on Snapchat at Our Main Event. You can find me, Evan Wells, on Snapchat at Evan T. Wells. If you want to check us out on Facebook, search The Main Event. We should be the second or third option that comes up. It's going to have a wrestling ring with red, white, and blue letters with The Main Event on it. If you want to email us, which email is a big way to get a hold of us, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, or things we should talk about in the podcast, email us at themainevent45@gmail.com. Hit us up there. Let us know what you think. Twitter, I know I said I was going to work on it last week because of the extra work that we've had to do at our actual job. I haven't been able to get on it yet. I will for sure take care of that this week and give you guys a Twitter account you guys can hit us up at. Other than that, Zach, you got anything else, man?
Nope. Hey, we love you guys. You know we mean it. We'll talk to you next weekend.
Alrighty, guys. Be looking out for episode 6. We'll see you later.